This time I'd like to recognize Mr. Hensarling from Texas for 5 minutes.
Gentleman from Texas recognized for 5 minutes.
Ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I believe that this is a sad day for our institution, the House of Representatives. And I think it's a sad day because I sense this debate has very little to do with coming together as a nation to face the greatest threat that we have faced since the Cold War. But instead, I sense and I fear it has much to do with politics as usual. I've heard speaker after speaker come to the floor to decry faulty intelligence, to decry how our nation became involved in Iraq in the first place. I've heard speaker decry how the war had been conducted. But Mr. Speaker, regardless of how we got into Iraq, regardless of whose war it might have been once, today it is an American war, and we must accept that fact. As the people's elected representatives, certainly we should look at this new strategy. We need to take an open and honest look at it. And certainly we're all disappointed that the previous strategy has not yielded the desired results. But, Mr. Speaker, very, very much hangs in the balance. I myself do not know if the new strategy will work. I think it can work. I hope it will work. And I know it is at least a strategy that has been recommended by the Iraqi study group and our new battlefield commander, General Petraeus. So until such a time as somebody brings to me a more compelling strategy, or until such a time that somebody convinces me that somehow the security of my country and the security of my family is somehow made better off by our immediate withdrawal and the subsequent implosion of Iraq, I feel we must support the new strategy. Defeat is not an option. So what are the options, Mr. Speaker? Clearly many, if not most, of the Democrats call for withdrawal from Iraq, as do several of my very respected Republican colleagues. And I respect their views when they are heartfelt. But, Mr. Speaker, since Democrats now control both houses of Congress, why are we not voting on a withdrawal resolution? And that's one of the reasons this is such a sad day. I mean, think about it, Mr. Speaker. How do you look a soldier in the eye and say, you know, I don't believe you can succeed in Iraq. I don't believe in your mission. I don't believe you can win this war. And I have the power to bring you home, but I refuse to do it. I refuse to do it. Where's the courage in that resolution? Where's the conviction in that resolution? If you truly believe in your heart of hearts that our soldiers are needlessly risking their lives, don't you have a moral obligation to bring them home? So with lives hanging in the balance, with our national security hanging in the balance, we have a non-binding politics as usual resolution. Mr. Speaker, it's not really all that easy to figure out exactly what it is that the Democrats support. But if they don't put forth their own strategy, and yet they want to vote against the new strategy, that says one and only one thing. It says stay the course. It says status quo. If you don't have an alternative, and you want to vote against this new strategy, then you're voting to stay the course. The stakes are too high to stay the course. Now, we all know that fighting this war is very costly, and like many members of this institution, I have met with the mothers of fallen soldiers. Their burden in sacrifice is solemn and profound. But I never, never, never want to meet with the mothers whose children may perish in the next 9/11 if we accept defeat in Iraq. Iraq must be seen in the larger context of this war with jihadism, with radical Islam. Whether we like it or not, the battle lines are drawn in Iraq. And don't take my word for it, take the jihadist word for it. Osama bin Laden has said, quote, the epicenter of these wars is Baghdad. Success in Baghdad will be success for the United States. Failure in Iraq is the failure of the United States. Their defeat in Iraq will mean defeat in all their wars. Mr. Speaker, we must soberly reflect on the challenge that we face. Listen to al-Zawahiri, Osama bin Laden's number 2. Quote, Al-Qaeda has the right to kill 4 million Americans, 2 million of them children.
Gentleman's time has expired.
Gentlemen, an additional minute.
Gentleman is recognized for 1 additional minute.
Listen to Hassan of Asabi, Revolutionary Guard's intelligence advisor to the Iranian president. Quote, we have a strategy drawn up for the destruction of Anglo-Saxon civilization. Listen to Iraqi Ayatollah Husseini, quote, even if this means using biological, chemical, and bacterial weapons, we will conquer the world, unquote. This is the enemy we face, Mr. Speaker, and we face him foremost in Iraq. The consequences of failure in Iraq are immense. The beginning of a Sunni-Shiite genocidal clash as American troop convoys flee the country. The battle for Baghdad will undoubtedly spill over to the entire country. Shias will most likely win. They will draw in Jordan and Saudi Arabia to the defense of Sunni Iraqis. Iran will rise to the defense of the Shia Iraqis. The entire regional war could easily ensue, and what's left of Iraq would become a safe haven for the recruitment, training, and financing of radical Islam.
Gentleman from North